Step into a world where time and myth intertwine, inviting you to wander back to the very origins of a transformative movement. A journey that begins in a landscape both rugged and sacred, where dusty roads led to quiet villages and small gatherings of devoted souls. In this primordial era, before the rise of grand temples or the consolidation of authoritative texts, a spirit of discovery and rebellion simmered just beneath the surface of everyday life. It was an age when the divine could be felt in the gentle rustle of olive groves, in the laughter of children playing by the shores of the Sea of Galilee, and in the shared whispers of those who sought meaning in a world filled with both wonder and uncertainty. In this ancient setting, Mary Magdalene emerged not as a peripheral character, but as a beacon of insight and empathy, a woman whose presence defied the conventional boundaries that later generations would impose. Imagine a time when her very name resonated with an aura of mystery and quiet strength, attracting attention not through ostentation, but through the subtle power of her unwavering commitment to truth. The communities of that time were built upon relationships, stories passed down not merely by word of mouth, but through a living tradition of shared experience and intimate revelation. Here, Mary was not merely an observer of miraculous events. She was an active participant, an essential thread in the rich tapestry of early spiritual life. Her early life, though sparsely documented, hints at a journey of personal evolution. Emerging from the margins of society, a place where women often had to navigate a labyrinth of expectations and limitations, she dared to venture beyond the prescribed roles of her era. The very essence of her being seemed to resonate with the quiet defiance of someone who refused to be confined by the narrow definitions of her culture. As the early movement began to take shape, Mary became a figure around whom a new kind of spirituality coalesced, a spirituality that prized personal experience and the intimate connection between the individual and the divine. In the open, sun-drenched landscapes of Galilee, where the air carried the scent of blooming fig trees and the promise of renewal, Mary's presence was felt as a vital source of strength and inspiration. It is said that in those days, gatherings were less about rigid rituals and more about the spontaneous outpouring of heartfelt devotion. Here, under the vast expanse of a starlit sky, followers of the emerging teachings would come together not as subjects of dogma, but as seekers of a transformative truth, a truth that promised liberation from the burdens of sin and the harsh judgments of a society steeped in tradition. Mary's role in these early assemblies was as significant as it was subtle. Her insights, her intuitive grasp of the spiritual currents that moved through their midst, helped to shape a nascent understanding of what it meant to live in alignment with the divine. As you imagine the early days of this movement, visualize Mary engaging with her companions in deep conversations about the nature of existence, the mysteries of the soul, and the intimate interplay between human frailty and divine grace. In these moments, every word was a seed of possibility, every shared experience a brushstroke on the vast canvas of their collective understanding. It was a time when truth was not imposed from above, but discovered in the quiet reflections of the heart, a truth that would later be masked by layers of interpretation and control. Mary's legacy in these formative years was one of silent revolution, a quiet defiance that spoke volumes to those who were open to the whisper of a more compassionate and inclusive spirituality. As the narrative of her early journey unfolds, we arrive at a pivotal moment, a moment that transformed not only her own life, but the very fabric of the emerging spiritual community. It is in this moment that we find the striking image of Mary facing a profound and public transformation, a scene that has echoed through the ages with both mystery and revelation. Picture a scene where the air is charged with anticipation, where the murmurs of a gathered crowd are punctuated by a sense of impending change. In the midst of this congregation, Jesus, whose own life was an ever-unfolding tapestry of miracles and teachings, comes to the forefront, with an act of divine intervention that would forever alter the course of Mary's life. In an encounter that defies the ordinary, it is said that Jesus approached Mary with a compassion that transcended the social stigmas of the day. With a gentle authority, he cast out the 7 demons that had long troubled her, a ritual not of condemnation, but of liberation. This was not a mere physical or superficial act. It was a profound spiritual cleansing that symbolized the shedding of darkness and the ushering in of light. The imagery of this moment is both vivid and layered with meaning. The demons, embodiments of the pain and burdens imposed by a society unwilling to accept a woman of her strength, were expelled, leaving behind an aura of purity and renewed purpose. For Mary, this was a rebirth, a liberation that redefined her identity not as one marked by past afflictions, but as a harbinger of new beginnings. In the wake of this transformation, Mary's role within the community evolved in ways that were as unexpected as they were revolutionary. No longer a woman defined solely by her struggles, she stepped into the light as an active, vibrant participant in the unfolding story of divine love. Her experiences, both the suffering that had once weighed her down and the profound release that followed, imbued her with a unique perspective that resonated deeply with those around her. Here was a woman who had tasted the bitterness of human judgment and emerged with a soul renewed by the promise of hope and redemption. Her journey from darkness to light was not just a personal victory. It was a testament to the transformative power of genuine spiritual awakening, a power that was accessible to anyone willing to confront their inner demons and embrace the possibility of change. The atmosphere following this miraculous event was charged with a palpable sense of awe and possibility. Those who had witnessed the transformation saw in Mary a living example of the radical change that the teachings of Jesus promised. A change that was not confined to theoretical ideas, but was experienced in the very depths of one's being. Her liberation became a symbol of the new path that lay ahead, one that emphasized the importance of inner renewal over external conformity. In a world where women were often relegated to the sidelines, Mary's emergence as a transformed and empowered individual was both a personal triumph and a collective beacon for all those who longed for a more profound and authentic connection with the divine. The impact of this transformative moment reverberated far beyond the immediate circle of her companions. It sparked conversations, challenged long-held beliefs, and set in motion a series of events that would eventually reshape the very foundation of the spiritual movement. In the quiet aftermath, as the dust settled and the echoes of her newfound liberation mingled with the whispered prayers of those gathered, Mary Magdalene's journey took on an almost mythic quality. She became not just a recipient of divine grace, but a living, breathing testament to the power of transformation, a symbol of what it meant to break free from the chains of societal expectations and to embrace a destiny defined by inner truth and light. Her experience served as an invitation to all who witnessed it, a call to seek their own liberation, to confront the shadows within, and to dare to imagine a world where the divine resided within every heart, unbound by the limitations of tradition or the constraints of dogma. It was a moment of collective awakening, where the promise of a deeper, more personal spirituality was laid bare for anyone willing to see it. Mary's journey thus became a mirror, reflecting the latent potential within every individual, a reminder that the path to true enlightenment is paved with the courage to face one's inner darkness and to emerge transformed and radiant on the other side. In those early days, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the cool night air carried the soft murmur of prayers and songs of praise, Mary Magdalene's story began to take shape as a beacon of hope for generations to come. Her transformation, witnessed by many, was more than a single event. It was the opening of a new chapter in the human quest for meaning, a chapter that would inspire countless seekers to venture beyond the confines of established narratives and to explore the rich, uncharted territories of the soul. Her journey, marked by both profound suffering and ecstatic liberation, set the stage for a spiritual renaissance that celebrated the inner life as the ultimate frontier of divine encounter. Thus, as you journey through the echoes of this ancient past, let yourself be drawn into the intricate layers of Mary Magdalene's early life, a life defined by courage, resilience, and an unyielding commitment to truth. Her story, deeply woven into the fabric of a time when the divine was accessible and life was a continuous unfolding of mystery and wonder, invites us to look beyond the surface of historical accounts and to rediscover the profound, unspoken truths that lie hidden in the interstices of memory and myth. It is a story that continues to inspire, challenging us to seek our own moments of transformation and to embrace the limitless potential of the human spirit. A spirit that, like Mary's, is destined to rise above the darkness and to shine with the eternal light of hope and renewal. And the days that followed her transformation, Mary Magdalene's life took on a deeper, almost mythic quality. The echoes of her earlier rebirth reverberated through the shifting sands of time, carrying her from the intimate gatherings beneath starry skies to the epic, heart-wrenching events that would redefine the destiny of an entire faith. As the hour of destiny approached, Mary found herself drawn into a series of events so profound and turbulent that they would forever alter the narrative of the nascent movement. In a world where uncertainty mingled with hope, she became a steadfast witness to the unfolding drama of sacrifice and redemption. A drama that would challenge the very limits of human endurance and the boundless nature of divine love. It was during those fateful days, when whispers of an impending upheaval began to ripple through the community, that Mary's journey reached its most poignant crescendo. Alongside a small band of devoted followers, she traveled with a sense of quiet determination to the outskirts of a city marked by both grandeur and decay. In the charged atmosphere of those final hours, every step, every whispered prayer, carried the weight of both personal loss and transcendent possibility. Mary's eyes, ever attentive to the subtleties of faith and transformation, observed the shifting moods and unspoken fears of those around her as they followed their enigmatic teacher toward an inevitable confrontation with power and destiny. In the shadow of looming despair, when even the bravest hearts faltered under the weight of imminent sorrow, Mary's presence was a source of profound strength and resilience. Amid the clamor of accusations, betrayals, and the palpable dread of the unknown, she remained a silent guardian of hope. As the tumult reached its peak in the dark hours before dawn, Mary witnessed the agony of a man who had transcended human frailty, whose life had become a living testament to love and sacrifice. The crucifixion was not merely a public execution. It was an event laden with both agony and sublime possibility, a moment where mortal pain met the infinite scope of divine forgiveness. In the midst of a chaotic multitude, Mary's unwavering gaze followed every agonizing moment, her heart absorbing the grief and the promise of a mystery too vast for words. It was as if, in that crucible of suffering, the boundaries between the human and the divine were momentarily dissolved. As the sorrow of that fateful day gave way to a tentative stillness, Mary's role evolved into something even more extraordinary. In the hushed aftermath, when the tremors of loss had yet to fully subside, she became the first to venture to the tomb, a sacred place that now held an inexplicable silence, a void where death itself seemed to have been undone. The shock of finding the tomb empty was profound, stirring in her an amalgam of despair, wonder, and an inner calling that defied rational explanation. In those surreal moments, grief intermingled with an emerging realization that what she had witnessed transcended the boundaries of ordinary experience. The air itself seemed to shimmer with the promise of rebirth, and in the quiet solitude of that sacred space, Mary experienced an epiphany that would forever alter her understanding of life, death, and the hidden dimensions of faith. Her encounter at the tomb was more than a solitary moment of divine revelation. It was a call to bear witness, a summons to share the unfathomable truth of what had transpired. As the morning light gently caressed the empty sepulchre, Mary's soul was suffused with an inner radiance that defied the desolation surrounding her. In that transcendent moment, the veil between mortality and eternity was lifted, and she felt an overwhelming impulse to proclaim the miraculous news. With a mixture of trembling awe and resolute determination, she stepped forward to become the harbinger of a message that would resonate across generations. The call to speak, to share the experience of a resurrection that defied the logic of human existence, was both a personal burden and an honor beyond measure. This intimate encounter with the mystery of resurrection set Mary on a path that would redefine her role from a follower to a messenger of the divine. In the ensuing days, as her voice emerged amid a chorus of doubt and disbelief, she found herself at the center of a profound and transformative mission. Despite the prevailing atmosphere of fear and uncertainty, when many of the disciples recoiled or doubted the reality of what had happened, Mary's testimony shone with an unyielding clarity. Every word she spoke was imbued with the raw intensity of personal revelation, a narrative that challenged the established order and beckoned others to look beyond the veil of conventional understanding. Yet, even as her message began to spread like a quiet wildfire through the hearts of those desperate for hope, a shadow loomed over the burgeoning movement, a shadow cast by the forces of authority and tradition. The sacred insights that Mary carried, the intimate knowledge of the divine mystery she had experienced, stood in stark contrast to a growing insistence on orthodoxy and control. As the early community of believers began to coalesce into a more structured and hierarchical body, the radical vision embodied by Mary Magdalene became a source of both inspiration and tension. The power dynamics that were emerging within the community sought to relegate her luminous testimony to the margins, to mold her narrative into one that fit within a predetermined framework of doctrine and dogma. This struggle was not merely a battle of ideas, but a profound contest over the very soul of the emerging faith. The intimate, experiential spirituality that Mary represented clashed with an institutional drive toward uniformity and centralized authority. In the midst of heated debates and the slow imposition of rigid hierarchies, her role as a witness to the resurrection was both celebrated and contested. Some revered her as a pivotal figure, a living testament to the triumph of life over death and the boundless potential of divine love, while others, entrenched in the emerging orthodoxy, questioned the propriety of elevating a woman to such a sacred status. The tension between these opposing forces gave rise to a dynamic interplay of reverence and resistance, a struggle that would echo through the corridors of time. In the wake of these tumultuous events, Mary's narrative began to evolve into a rich tapestry of myth, mystery, and enduring legacy. The accounts of her witnessing the empty tomb, of hearing the voice of the divine in the quiet of that sacred morning, and of bearing the profound responsibility of proclaiming the resurrection, gradually took on layers of symbolic meaning. For many, her experience was a metaphor for the perennial human quest for renewal, a reminder that even in the darkest moments of despair, there is the promise of rebirth and the possibility of transformation. Her testimony transcended the confines of historical record and entered the realm of spiritual allegory, inviting each listener to seek the resurrection within their own hearts. Yet, amid the emerging narratives of triumph and renewal, there remained an undercurrent of conflict, a resistance to the unbridled power of her truth. The voices of those who championed a more controlled and patriarchal interpretation of the faith began to weave a counter-narrative, one that sought to obscure and undermine the luminous insights that Mary had brought forth. In this complex interplay of memory and myth, the authentic voice of Mary Magdalene was gradually entangled with reinterpretations and revisions designed to align with a vision of spirituality that prized conformity over experiential truth. The struggle to define her legacy became emblematic of a larger battle, a contest between the raw, transformative power of personal revelation and the constraining structures of institutional authority. Over the years, as the movement solidified into a more formalized religion, the intimate truths that Mary had shared were increasingly suppressed, her role recast to fit within a framework that minimized her significance. The remarkable testimony of a woman who had seen the face of the resurrected and who had carried the profound secret of rebirth was slowly diminished, her narrative overshadowed by a burgeoning dogma that relegated her to a mere footnote in the annals of history. Yet, despite these efforts to silence her voice, the echoes of her experience persisted, resonating in the hearts of those who still dared to question, to seek, and to remember a time when the divine was encountered not in the rigidity of ritual, but in the intimate, transformative power of the human spirit. In the quiet corners of ancient texts, and in the reflective silence of contemplative hearts, Mary Magdalene's legacy continued to glow, a hidden light that defied the darkness imposed by centuries of reinterpretation and suppression. Her journey, from the depths of personal despair to the heights of spiritual revelation, became a symbol of hope and possibility for all who longed for a connection with the ineffable mystery of existence. Even as the institutional powers tightened their grip on the narrative of faith, the timeless truth of her experience, of death transformed into life, of despair giving way to hope, remained an indomitable force, inviting every seeker to reclaim the ancient wisdom that lay buried beneath the weight of convention. Thus, the story of Mary Magdalene unfolds as a profound saga of transformation and resistance, a journey marked by the interplay of light and shadow, of personal revelation and collective struggle. It is a narrative that calls out to every individual who has ever yearned to break free from the confines of dogma, to explore the vast, uncharted territories of the soul, and to discover the enduring power of faith as a living, breathing experience. Her legacy is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the spark of divine truth can ignite a fire that illuminates the darkest night and guides the way toward a future filled with hope, renewal, and the promise of eternal life. In the unfolding tapestry of early Christianity, Mary Magdalene's role evolved into something even more complex and revolutionary, a transformation that reached its apex as new, unorthodox texts began to circulate among those who sought a deeper, more intimate connection with the divine. In this stirring period of reawakening, Mary was no longer simply a devoted follower. She emerged as a visionary, a teacher, and a guardian of profound esoteric wisdom that challenged the established dogmas of her time. Her insights, recorded in what would later be known as the Gospel of Mary, offered a radically different perspective on sin, salvation, and the nature of spiritual awakening. In these texts, sin was not depicted as a moral failing to be punished by external decrees, but as a condition of ignorance, a lack of self-awareness that obscured one's true, divine essence. The path to liberation, therefore, was a journey inward, one that required personal reflection, self-discovery, and the courage to face one's inner darkness in order to embrace the light within. This alternative vision of salvation resonated deeply with those who felt alienated by the rigid structures of institutional religion. Mary's teachings were intimate and transformative, inviting every seeker to look within for the spark of divinity that could ignite a profound personal revolution. Her words carried the gentle insistence that truth was not something to be handed down from a distant authority, but a living, breathing experience accessible through meditation, reflection, and the breaking of social chains. In her narrative, the transformation of the self was paramount, a process that elevated the individual from a state of unawareness into a realm of awakened consciousness. As these ideas began to circulate, they ignited debates and challenged the orthodox teachings that had long dominated the religious landscape. Mary's voice, though soft in its cadence, carried an undeniable authority that stemmed not from institutional power, but from the authenticity of her lived experience and the depth of her spiritual insight. As the teachings of Mary Magdalene spread among the early Christian communities, they inspired both reverence and resistance. Many were drawn to her emphasis on inner enlightenment and personal communion with the divine, a stark contrast to the externally imposed rituals and hierarchical structures that were beginning to take root. Her approach to spirituality was one of empowerment, urging individuals to trust in their own inner guidance rather than relying solely on the interpretations of appointed leaders. The gospel attributed to her painted a picture of a spirituality that was both inclusive and liberating, one that transcended the boundaries of gender and social status. In these accounts, Mary is portrayed not as a passive receiver of knowledge, but as an active transmitter of spiritual truths, one who engaged in profound dialogues with Jesus and whose insights challenged the conventional paradigms of sin, redemption, and the nature of the soul. This revolutionary perspective, however, did not come without its challenges. As the early church began to consolidate its authority and codify a unified doctrine, the teachings of Mary Magdalene and her fellow mystics posed a direct threat to the emerging orthodoxy. Her gospel, with its focus on personal experience and the internal journey toward enlightenment, stood in stark opposition to a system that prioritized external rituals, sacramental mediation, and a strict hierarchical order. The growing power of the institutional church sought to silence voices that challenged its authority, and as a result, many of the texts that celebrated Mary's unique contributions were labeled as heretical. The suppression of these writings was not merely an act of censorship, it was a deliberate effort to reframe the narrative of Christian spirituality, to cast aside the liberating insights of the early mystics in favor of a more controlled, male-dominated interpretation of faith. In this struggle over spiritual authority, Mary Magdalene's legacy was both celebrated and contested. On one hand, her intimate relationship with the teachings of Jesus and her role as a recipient of profound hidden wisdom positioned her as an essential link between the divine and the human. Her gospel, with its poetic exploration of the soul's journey from darkness to light, resonated with those who yearned for a more personal and transformative connection with the divine. On the other hand, the patriarchal forces within the emerging church viewed her as a threat, a reminder that spiritual authority need not be confined to the male hierarchy, and that the feminine aspect of divine wisdom was both powerful and indispensable. The tension between these two visions, one of personal inner transformation and the other of externally imposed order and control, played out in the contested histories of early Christianity, leaving behind a legacy that would take centuries to fully appreciate. The gradual suppression of Mary's gospel and the marginalization of her voice had far-reaching implications for the development of Christian thought. As the institutional church solidified its power, it systematically excluded texts that did not conform to its rigid doctrines, effectively erasing the more fluid, mystical interpretations of spirituality that had once flourished. The rich tapestry of early Christian experience, with its emphasis on personal revelation and the intimate relationship between the individual and the divine, was gradually replaced by a standardized narrative that downplayed the contributions of women and mystics. Yet, despite these efforts, the seeds of Mary Magdalene's teachings endured in the hearts of those who continued to seek the deeper, unmediated truths of the soul. In the quiet corners of monasteries and the secret gatherings of those who dared to question the official doctrine, the words of Mary Magdalene survived as whispers of a lost tradition, a tradition that celebrated the inner life and recognized the divine spark inherent in every individual. These teachings, rediscovered by modern scholars and spiritual seekers alike, have sparked a renewed interest in the possibility of a Christianity that is not bound by rigid hierarchies or dogmatic rituals, but one that is rooted in the transformative power of personal experience. The rediscovery of her gospel has opened up a dialogue that challenges centuries of orthodoxy, inviting contemporary believers to reclaim the liberating vision of spirituality that Mary once championed. This unfolding dialogue is not merely an academic exercise. It is a call to a living, vibrant spirituality that honors the complexity of human experience and the myriad ways in which the divine can be encountered. Mary Magdalene's teachings invite us to look within, to trust in the quiet wisdom of our own hearts, and to embrace a path of self-discovery that leads to a deeper understanding of the eternal mysteries. Her legacy is a testament to the enduring power of personal revelation, a reminder that even in the face of institutional suppression, the truth of our inner light can never be extinguished. As modern seekers turn their eyes back to the ancient texts and re-examine the hidden chapters of early Christian history, they find in Mary Magdalene not only a symbol of feminine strength and resilience, but also a beacon of hope for a more inclusive, authentic spiritual path. Her story, with its layers of transformation, conflict, and renewal, challenges us to reconsider what it means to be truly free in our spiritual lives. It reminds us that the journey toward enlightenment is not a one-size-fits-all path dictated by external authorities, but a deeply personal pilgrimage that requires us to confront our inner darkness, celebrate our unique light, and ultimately rediscover the sacred truth that resides within each of us. In the enduring echo of her voice, there is a call to reclaim an ancient wisdom, a wisdom that recognizes the profound interconnectedness of all life and the boundless potential of a spirit awakened to its own divine nature. Mary Magdalene's legacy, though once obscured by the passage of time and the forces of suppression, continues to shine as a guiding light for all who seek a deeper, more transformative connection with the divine. It is a legacy that encourages us to look beyond the surface of dogma and to embrace the mystery of our own spiritual journey, a journey marked by the interplay of shadow and light, struggle and triumph, and ultimately, a profound awakening to the infinite potential of the human soul. In the wake of centuries of suppression and reinterpretation, a renewed light began to shine on the hidden legacy of Mary Magdalene, a legacy that has, over time, come to embody the profound quest for authenticity and spiritual liberation in the modern world. Today, her story is no longer confined to the margins of ancient texts or relegated to the role of a misunderstood disciple. Instead, it serves as a vibrant call to re-examine the very foundations of spiritual authority and to embrace a vision of faith that is both deeply personal and expansively inclusive. Modern seekers of truth have turned back to the ancient sources, those fragile manuscripts and long-forgotten scriptures that once carried the voice of a woman who dared to challenge the norms of her time. In these texts, Mary Magdalene emerges as a figure whose insights transcend the rigid boundaries of orthodox doctrine, inviting contemporary believers to explore the mysteries of the inner life with renewed vigor. Her story has become a symbol of resistance against the forces of institutional control and a testament to the transformative power of personal revelation. Across diverse cultures and spiritual traditions, people are discovering in her narrative a universal message, that the path to enlightenment is not determined by external hierarchies, but is instead an intimate journey toward recognizing and nurturing the divine spark that lies within each individual. As this ancient wisdom is reawakened, it finds fertile ground in an era characterized by a widespread yearning for empowerment and the dissolution of outdated power structures. Feminist scholars, mystics, and spiritual practitioners alike have embraced Mary Magdalene's legacy as a rallying point for the reclamation of a more balanced and equitable spirituality. They see in her not merely a relic of the past, but a living embodiment of the principles of compassion, resilience, and inner strength, qualities that resonate deeply with the struggles and aspirations of those who seek to redefine what it means to be truly human in a rapidly changing world. Her voice, once muffled by the prevailing patriarchal narratives, now rings clear as a reminder that spiritual authority and wisdom are not the exclusive domain of any one gender or institution. In academic circles, the rediscovery and careful study of Mary Magdalene's Gospel and related texts have sparked vibrant debates that challenge long-held assumptions about the origins of Christianity. Scholars have begun to peel back the layers of centuries of reinterpretation, revealing a rich tapestry of thought and experience that points to a time when the early Christian movement was far more diverse and dynamic than later dogmatic formulations would allow. The narratives uncovered in these texts speak of a spirituality that is experiential rather than merely doctrinal, a spirituality that values personal transformation and the intimate communion between the seeker and the divine. Through careful exegesis and interdisciplinary research, modern academics are reconstructing a picture of early Christianity in which Mary Magdalene played a central, transformative role, not as an accessory to a male-dominated narrative, but as a pioneering figure whose insights continue to illuminate the path to true inner freedom. For many contemporary spiritual seekers, Mary Magdalene's story offers more than a historical or academic curiosity. It provides a practical framework for living a life that is both spiritually fulfilling and radically authentic. In an age marked by an over-reliance on external authorities and prescribed rituals, her legacy reminds us that the true journey of faith is one of self-discovery, one that requires us to look inward, question established norms, and embrace the full spectrum of our human experience. Her example encourages individuals to explore meditation, reflective practices, and other forms of inner work that foster self-awareness and emotional healing. In doing so, her teachings become not merely intellectual concepts, but living, transformative practices that empower people to overcome the isolation and disillusionment often found in modern society. The influence of Mary Magdalene in contemporary spiritual movements is evident in the proliferation of communities that value experiential knowledge over rigid doctrinal adherence. Workshops, retreats, and study groups dedicated to the themes of inner transformation, divine femininity, and holistic healing often draw inspiration from her life and the teachings attributed to her. These gatherings create spaces where participants feel free to question conventional wisdom and explore alternative visions of what a spiritual life can be. Visions that honor the complexity of the human soul and the diverse ways in which we encounter the sacred. In these circles, Mary Magdalene is celebrated not simply as a historical figure, but as an archetype of the awakened spirit, a guide who helps others navigate the challenges of modern existence while remaining deeply connected to the eternal truths of existence. Moreover, her legacy has also found expression in the arts, literature, and popular culture, where the narrative of a passionate, resilient, and spiritually independent woman has inspired countless creative works. Films, novels, and visual art pieces reimagine her life, often portraying her as a symbol of hope and liberation in a world that still struggles with the remnants of patriarchal constraints. Through these artistic expressions, her story reaches audiences far beyond the academic or religious communities, resonating with those who have long felt marginalized or silenced in their own lives. The mythic quality of her journey, from darkness into light, from obscurity to the forefront of spiritual insight, serves as a powerful metaphor for the potential inherent in every human being to transcend limitations and embrace a more profound, interconnected way of living. At the same time, the modern reassessment of Mary Magdalene's role has ignited spirited discussions about the nature of historical truth and the ways in which narratives are constructed and deconstructed over time. These debates touch upon fundamental questions about the sources of authority in religious traditions and challenge us to reconsider the legitimacy of texts and interpretations that have been accepted without question for centuries. In this context, Mary Magdalene becomes a focal point for a broader critique of institutional power, a symbol of the ways in which dominant narratives are often shaped by those in positions of authority, sometimes at the expense of richer, more inclusive truths. This critical engagement with history is not merely an academic exercise. It is a dynamic process that has the power to transform contemporary understandings of spirituality and to foster a more democratic and participatory approach to religious life. As the dialogue continues to evolve, many are now calling for a reclamation of the authentic spiritual heritage that Mary Magdalene represents. A heritage that honors the full spectrum of human experience, from the depths of suffering to the heights of ecstatic realization. This call is not simply about revisiting the past. It is a rallying cry for the present, urging modern believers to reclaim the inner wisdom that has been obscured by the rigid structures of modern religion. In doing so, her legacy offers a blueprint for a renewed spirituality, one that is vibrant, inclusive, and capable of addressing the complex challenges of contemporary life with a compassion and insight that is both timeless and urgently needed. In the unfolding narrative of our time, Mary Magdalene stands as an enduring symbol of the transformative power of the human spirit. Her journey, from a woman whose experiences were shrouded in mystery and marginalization, to one whose insights now inspire movements for personal and collective renewal, reminds us that the quest for truth is a dynamic, evolving process. It is a process that calls on each of us to question, to explore, and ultimately to rediscover the sacred depths that lie within. Her legacy invites us to embrace a spirituality that is not defined by exclusion or limitation, but is expansive enough to encompass the diversity of human experience. A spirituality that recognizes the divine not as a distant authority, but as an ever-present, living reality within each of us. Thus, in the modern world, as we stand at the crossroads of tradition and transformation, Mary Magdalene's voice continues to speak across the ages. Her story, imbued with the struggles and triumphs of an ancient quest for truth, calls us to reclaim our own power, to step into the light of self-knowledge and to forge a path of spiritual authenticity that honors both the inner and the collective dimensions of our existence. Her legacy, once nearly lost in the shadows of history, now illuminates the way forward, offering a vision of hope, renewal, and the boundless potential of a spirit awakened to its true, radiant nature.